Donald Trump's push against free expression isn't just aimed at silencing voices outside his administration, it's happening on the inside as well. He's sharing fewer updates about the struggling economy. His allies rarely appear on any network outside of Fox, and he himself has pulled back from real press engagement. Why? Because transparency would reveal what's actually going on, a White House marked by chaos, corruption, and economic decline. That's also why Trump just made a sudden and surprising cancellation, an attempt to hide rather than confront the truth. And we're going to break it all down. But before we dive in, I'd like to ask you to take a quick second to like this video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. It goes a long way in helping us continue our work. Now, before we get into exactly what Trump had to abruptly cancel, let's start with his broader crackdown on speech, something Senator Chris Murphy called out directly.
Submitted his resignation. And overnight, an extraordinary statement from President Trump. It appeared to be a direct message to his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, but it was posted on Truth Social for the world to see, pressuring her to prosecute his political enemies. The president wrote in part, "Pam, I have reviewed over 30 statements and posts saying that essentially same old story as last time. All talk, no action, nothing is being done. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice. They indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now." And I am joined now by Democratic Senator from Connecticut, Chris Murphy. Senator Murphy, let's start right there with those words towards Pam Bondi. The president mentioned some of his enemies, including James Comey, the former FBI director, Letitia James. It sounds like he is directly ordering his attorney general to prosecute his enemies.
This is one of the most dangerous moments America has ever faced. We are quickly turning into a banana republic. The President of the United States is now employing the full power of the federal government, the FCC, the Department of Justice, in order to punish, lock up, take down off the air all of his political enemies. As you know, this is what happens in Iran. This is what happens in Cuba. This is what happens in China, in deeply repressive states in which if you have the courage to stand up and speak truth to power, you are silenced. I mean, there is no more fundamental right in America than the right to protest your government. And the question today is, when is enough for Republicans? I was very glad to see Ted Cruz stand up and say what is simply true. It is unconstitutional and deeply immoral for the president to jail or to silence his political enemies, and it will come back and boomerang on conservatives and Republicans at some point if this becomes the norm. But next week, we need every Republican in the Senate, in the House, not only speaking up, but going to Donald Trump and telling him that they are not going to let him get away with this massive new contraction of speech. This is a decisive moment for the country. It is a decisive moment for Republicans who have to decide to preserve this core fundamental.
We have to remember that Donald Trump's approach to speech control is multi-layered. It started when he literally tried to pressure an outlet like the Associated Press into renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America. At first glance, it looked silly, almost absurd, but that was the point. Beneath the surface, it was about control. Now, Trump is taking it further, reportedly leaning on media outlets to push out certain hosts, whether it's Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Kimmel. The real danger, though, comes in the next phase. When networks censor themselves out of fear, moving preemptively to avoid potential backlash from Trump, that's true intimidation. Not when pressure is applied directly, but when it becomes unnecessary because fear does the work for him. And while he claims that the media is constantly unfair to him, the reality is many outlets are already walking on eggshells when covering him. That's the deeper issue we can't ignore.
Various reports, Disney's CEO, Bob Iger, reviewed Jimmy Kimmel's monologue, and he thought that it was over the line. He's the one who benched him. Now that that's out there, your critics are saying, well, the White House and the FCC are intimidating critics of President Trump. Is that what's happening here?
No, I don't think so at all. We have a great group of people that do watch over this, as you know. Brendan is a fantastic patriot. He really is. And he's, I think, doing a good job. But he's done nothing that's over the line. He just says you have to be honest. I just had it a little while ago. You may have seen it. I talked to people about 97% of the things they say about me on television are negative. And, you know, how do you win if that's the case? And the credibility of television's way down, most television. You guys are doing a lot better. I disagree with your pollsters because I've always proven to be right on that. I would say your pollsters, I don't think your pollsters are any good on Fox, but generally speaking, and the anchors are, in every case, they're phenomenal. But you don't have that with other networks. I think that's why they're down. They're down so low in ratings. MSDNC is like a dead network. It's, if you call it cable, I guess. CNN is, it's really a crying shame what happened to CNN, but they're down, they're dead, nobody watching. And they're dead because they have no credibility. You guys do have credibility, and that's a great thing to have.
We know which...
All right. So Donald Trump is being a whiny little baby about the fact that everyone hates him. What's new about that? Well, it's not just that Donald Trump is complaining about outside coverage. That's expected. It's what he is upset with inside his own administration. It's why we saw the BLS commissioner lose their job, because Donald Trump was unhappy about facts pertaining to his terrible economy. But the latest measure that Donald Trump has taken, maybe the most shock cancellation is the word we must use, yet not only runs counter to the idea that he cares about free speech, but the main component of his campaign, affordability. And we see it in this report right here. Trump administration cancels annual hunger survey. The government has been measuring food insecurity since the mid-1990s, but now says the report has become overly politicized. The Trump administration is ending a decades-long effort to track food security at a time when many Americans are struggling to get proper nutrition or eat enough. The U.S. Department of Agriculture said Saturday it was terminating the annual household food security reports, which were introduced in the 1990s to help state and federal officials decide on food assistance programs. The latest USDA report published in September last year found some 18 million U.S. households were food insecure at some time during 2023, a million more than in 2022. These redundant, costly, politicized, and extraneous studies do nothing more than fearmonger. The Department of Agriculture said in a statement, "The decision to cancel the reports was first reported by the Wall Street Journal and comes as the department was set to release its 2024 survey data. The Trump administration has previously cracked down on other government departments over data it considers to be politically motivated." The former commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics was ousted after revised data showed lower job growth numbers in May and June. Donald Trump criticized her as a Biden appointee overseeing what he falsely called fake jobs numbers. Let's break down the language we just heard, because it's honestly astonishing. This administration seems to believe that talking about children going hungry is somehow too political. But let's be clear. The only people who see feeding kids as a political issue are those who simply don't care about kids going hungry, and sadly, that appears to include members of this administration. We even heard their so-called hero, Charlie Kirk, claim that food insecurity for children doesn't exist in America, despite the fact that millions of kids face hunger every single day. The truth is, the number one factor in how well a child does in school isn't tied to any biased arguments you might hear from the right. It's whether that child had breakfast that morning, whether they had lunch, whether they weren't trying to learn while their stomach was empty. Yet what's the response from Republicans? Instead of supporting programs that ensure kids can eat, Their answer often boils down to go get a job, even for children who are only 10 or 11 years old. That's the mindset. And they try to frame something as basic and moral as feeding children as some kind of partisan battle. This isn't just detached from reality. It's a complete lack of humanity. They even treat studies about child hunger as a waste of money, as if combating food insecurity isn't one of the most basic responsibilities of a functioning society. Remember, Trump himself used to rant on the campaign trail about the cost of groceries, the price of eggs, and affordability. But since entering office, silence. When was the last time this administration made affordability a real priority? They don't care. And that's the truth. Which is why this next clip from Senator Joe Manchin, I know it might seem like a pivot, is actually so important. Stick with me, because it all ties together.
If you're playing the blame game, and I'm asking the Democratic Party, you better start looking at how you lost people like me. I've been a Democrat all my life. I'm fiscally responsible and socially compassionate, Brett, and I come from West Virginia. And now I can't even identify with the far left ideology. So,
how on earth is Joe Manchin lecturing anyone right now? If you want to support this work, please hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you made it this far, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.